Everyone, today I'm making a video going through my process of swapping out cloth seats for leather seats. As you can see behind me, I'm already mostly done and I just got one left, this here driver's seat. So we'll go ahead and get rolling. Step one, these Jeeps have airbags in the seats, so we have to unhook the batteries. Be sure to get this second battery down here and go through and check it, make sure that you've successfully turned off the voltage to the vehicle. Okay, now what we've all been waiting for, go ahead and taking this old skins off this seat and put the new skins on. So the big thing you're gonna want to remember as you do this is that before you separate the top from the bottom, you have a handful of wires that you got to disconnect. So you got your airbag wire right here, and then you have your seat heater right here. So you want to go ahead and disconnect those just so you don't put any strain on these wires. So we'll go ahead and get rolling with that. We're gonna pull these plastics off, pull those wires, and then separate the seats. Alright, so now we have most of the prep work ready to unbolt this top from this bottom. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and, if you have the Rubicon, you're going to go ahead and pull this back cover off. So really it's easy. All you have is two screws back here, and then you have a couple clips that hold it in. So we'll go ahead and start pulling that apart. Alright, so this driver's seat is by far the most complicated out of all the seats. So you got the airbag going on, you got the tilt, you got all the different adjustments for the driver. So right now we're wrestling with this lumbar support, so we have to decide the best way to disconnect it, whether it's down here at the bottom or disconnecting it up at the top and then running the cable down. So we're going to go ahead and wrestle with this for a minute and then we'll keep moving. Alright, I've determined that we're going to just disconnect the two halves of the seats and then let that take us where it will. So I'll be using a 15mm socket. Alright, so we're going to start working on pulling off the hog rings. We got lots of the skin pulled off, but we still can't get to the lumbar support dial. So we're going to go ahead, grab a pair of snippers right here, and we're going to go through and pop out all these hog rings. It's best to have a sharp pair. It makes your life significantly easier as you come through and unhook all these. Definitely take care of the piece of tubing that these are connected into down in the foam, because that's what you will be hooking back into. After a long battle with the lumbar knob, I finally figured it out. So it unclips from here, and then all you have is a Phillips head screw back in here. Alright, so we got the bottom completely skinned. Now we're moving into the top part of the seat. We're about 1 hour into this project, but that includes fighting with the knob and one trip to the first aid kit. So we'll go ahead and get this tore apart real quick, and then we'll be back onto the install. Here we go. Alright, so now we're moving into the most important part of this seat skin install. So in these seats we have an airbag, each in the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So if you look here, you see these two bolt heads right here. So we have a nut on that we're going to pop off, and then the airbag will come out on the other side. So let's go ahead and get those off. Okay, so now we have those unbolted. So now we're going to go ahead and expose the airbag. So right behind this flap we have the airbag. So we're going to go ahead and carefully pull that out. Be mindful that there is a wire that hooks to it right here. And throughout the process of this entire install, you want to definitely be careful with your connector right here, because this goes to your airbag. So let's go ahead and get this airbag pulled out. Let's get the new one, or the new seat skin, installed over it. Okay, so there's your airbag. So we're going to go ahead and put the new Katzkin skin over the top of it. So this is probably easier with the Rubicons, as you have the panel in the back. So depending on what your setup looks like, this could be a little bit, this easy, or it could be harder. So we're going to do it just like we just pulled it off. So we're going to go ahead and pull this inside out so we have good access. An important thing to note is that Katzkin does the work on these to make sure that they're certified ahead of time. So we got the airbag installed over here, and so now it's time to go ahead and install the skin onto the seat. So we got all of our hog rings, our areas for the hog rings cleaned out from clipping the old ones. So now our next step is going to be lining up this Velcro and starting the hog ring this in. These hog rings, super simple to use. You just drop them in, line them up, and then clip them. So we'll focus in on one of those so we can see it. Alright, so I really want to focus in on the process of installing these hog rings. So you got it set in your pliers. The key is you can't really force it too much because it'll hook and pull out. So what I like to do is kind of get it setting up on top and then guide down to the bottom of where I'd like to hook in. They stay in good enough, but it's obviously you just have to be mindful that they will come out. So I guide it down. If you pull too hard, it'll pop out. So you want to do all the material stretching and pulling with your hand rather than the hog ring. I like to twist it as I put it in to avoid tearing up the foam. Once I get it around the bottom part, I can go ahead and start squeezing it closed. Close it all the way. Okay. That one's set. So we'll just keep going and get the rest of these hooked in. Alright, so with all the hog rings in, we got the seat pulled over, and everything looked good as far as tightness on the front. So there's a little bit of opportunity we have to tighten this up, and so we should get it with these. So we're going to work these in, go ahead and compress the seat in, and go ahead and roll these and fold these. So let's go ahead and work on that. Alright, so the top part of the seat is done. I think the key to having, this one turned out good, nice and tight. I think the important thing to remember is you're not forcing the seat, you're just working with the seat until it goes ahead and sits where you need it to sit. If you're forcing it, there's lots of things that'll rip, so take your time, work it, and if it's snagging or not pulling right, look and see where you need to move more material. So let's go ahead and move on to the bottom. Alright, so here's the bottom seat. The big thing to keep in mind with the bottom seat is the bottom of these legs, they will scratch anything you put them on. So if you're working on something that you don't necessarily want tore up, lay down a soft surface, or work on the concrete. But this part's a little bit easier than the top part. So once again, kind of turn it inside out, so you can get all these seats lined up for the hog rings. And the other one, and this took me a minute on the passenger seat, was running this under. I get this under sooner than later. I tried doing it after the fact, and it was kind of a pain. So we'll go ahead and start lining this up and getting it all placed where it needs to go, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got this together. It's looking really good. So now it's time to reattach the top to the bottom before we line up these bottom tabs, just because we have some cables to run. As well as a note with these bottoms is they have these slants that fall over and clip in to make the hidden view, or the hidden seam. So there's a couple options. You can try reusing the ones that came out of the previous seat, or you can run down to the hardware store and buy some ahead of time. You know, either method works. I think you get a better result if you put new ones in. So we'll go ahead and install the top part of the seat to this bottom, get all of our connections hooked back up, and then we'll go from there. Alright, last step. So we just got to put this headrest on. Everybody says it's super hard, but this part is actually fairly easy to do. So we just got to pop off the old cover. And the best way to do this is kind of get the slide a little bit so you can expose the teeth on it. And then stick a tool down in it. And then go ahead and work it back. Okay, so now we go ahead and pull this off. All right, here we are. Okay, so for most people, they want to go ahead and stick this on, and it's going to be a huge pain in the butt. There's a couple tricks that I've noticed and learned that I can kind of help with this. So let's go ahead and get this opened up. Okay, so the trick that I found most is, first off, get an old grocery bag and put it over the top. Okay, so now we got this. But the trick comes with this. So you can set it out in the sun, and you can, and you're gonna fight it. It's still gonna fight you going on. But if you have one of these, so these are a steam iron thing that my wife has, but this will go ahead and produce a bunch of steam, and you heat this up until it's hot to, warm, hot to the touch on the outside, and then it'll stretch, it'll flex, it'll go right on. Okay, go ahead and take note of which side's the front, which side's the back. All right. Okay, last step is we're gonna go ahead and make an incision here and drop this in. All right, everybody, we've wrapped this up. As you can see, we're full leather now. Thoughts from this project is the biggest thing is take your time. There's no real big rush trying to get all this put together, but in the end I think it was worth it. It's one of those things that, you know, you could pay someone to do it, but I feel like the experience of getting to do this, as well as kind of the, you know, not only is the Jeep look better, but I know I did the work. I think I really enjoy that. So anyways, I'm just a random guy making videos, so hope you enjoyed. If you have questions, feel free to comment and I'll see what I can do to answer them. Thanks everybody, take care.